Mark Carney is back in Ottawa after a 9-day Indo-Pacific trade trip. This was the Prime Minister leaving Tokyo overnight. Carney and his wife, Diana Fox Carney, were seen off by a Japanese delegation. Now on Friday, Carney signed a new partnership with Japan, but Canada's upcoming review of CUSMA, the free trade deal with the U.S. and Mexico, could play a factor. Joining us now is Christine Nakamura, Vice President of the Central Canada Office of the Asia-Pacific Foundation of Canada. Christine, thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's get your initial reaction to what we saw signed and, in general, Canada's relationship with Japan.
Well, certainly the announcement of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Agreement demonstrates that the relationship is definitely elevated. You know, for someone who has been around looking at the bilateral relationship and focusing on it for decades now, I can say that it has definitely gone up to another level. With you'll recall with the IPS, or the Indo-Pacific Strategy, which was announced by Canada in 2022, which in fact supports the vision of the late Prime Minister Abe with the free and open Indo-Pacific vision that he had. I think that the relationship has really begun to strengthen, because while we've had a very good relationship for many decades, you know, it wasn't that dynamic, I would say. Mm-hmm. But with Prime Minister Carney's visit, I think that the way the Japanese have welcomed him, and Prime Minister Takaichi, the way she has warmly accepted his visit, I think that the relationship is definitely on the way up.
What opportunities do you see for Canada in Japan?
Well, there's, you know, I think that this particular trip focused on defense cooperation, trade, as Prime Minister Carney has been traipsing around the world trying to drum up trade and enhance trade with many economies, but also energy, because you'll recall that our LNG shipment went out last June and was sent out to Japan, and Japan was very excited about the movement of LNG finally. So I think moving forward, on the trade side, definitely, I think there's room for growth on the investment side as well. But defense cooperation, you'll see that the exercises, the military exercises that we've been doing in the past, I think they're going to be strengthened. There have been a number of dialogues that were signed recently in the past year that will help facilitate the movement, strengthening of the defense cooperation, for example, which is very important to both Canada and Japan, and is part of that Indo-Pacific strategy that Canada announced in 22.
And any concerns going this way that Japan says a continued support of the auto sector here relies on CUSMA, and we've heard from the president in the States maybe saying that we might not have CUSMA?
I think that is a critical issue, and I think that the Japanese are watching the situation very closely, as we are. But definitely the auto sector, because so many cars, you know, the Hondas and Toyota's plants in Canada producing so many cars, it will definitely impact them if the negotiations on CUSMA don't turn out well. So I think that is something that Japan will be focusing on and watching very closely, and so will we, and we'll make every effort, I suppose. I'm sure Prime Minister Carney is very focused on that with Mr. LeBlanc as well. But it is a very important point for the Japanese auto sector. Not just the auto sector, but for Japanese businesses that are present in Canada.
Okay, Christine, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Christine Nakamura is the Vice President of the Central Canada Office at the Asia-Pacific Foundation of Canada.